Like, well, what makes Spanish music Spanish? Or what makes Russian music sound Russian? Or American music American? So there have to be elements in the music which we identify as belonging to a certain nationality or a certain folkloric background or something. In Spanish music, there are several things. One of them is the use of the Phrygian mode, which is one of the few scales that starts with a half step already. Even the minor scale starts with a whole step, right? So those first two notes are very, very important in Spanish music. And this music is heavily influenced by Arabs and Gypsies, and it all kind of melted. It was a melting pot in Andalusia, southern Spain, where everyone kind of coincided. And so there developed a style of music that was unique. It's called flamenco. And flamenco, you've seen flamenco dancers and flamenco singers and guitarists. In fact, I have worked with them in the past, playing some classical music for one flamenco dancer who wanted to incorporate some classical pieces in her show. So even though I didn't play flamenco, I played classical music with flamenco dancers. And so I was always in touch with these wonderful guitarists who make these incredible effects in the guitar, and also the clapping. So as I listen to that, I'm seeing the connection with the great Spanish composers, how they make some of these sounds part of their music. And you will see that in some of the pieces coming up, how you will hear clapping, you will hear footwork effects for the typical flamenco dancers. And I promise I will not show you how, because I have a reputation and I have to. I play with my fingers, but I don't dance, even though I'm tempted to show you. So in the next couple of pieces that I play, we have guitar effects. And how do you figure we have guitar effects? Well, when you have a chord that's broken and you have something that sounds like this, yeah, that could be, yeah, you're right, that could be thought of as the strumming of the guitar. And the other thing is castanets. Castanets is also a typical instrument in Spain, and so there are a lot of percussive effects where you hear some of the little things like that, that I interpret that as effects of, little percussive effects of the castanets. And then we have a heavy reliance on pictorial images. Spanish composers were not good at writing symphonies, concertos, sonatas. Those Germanic forms were not really natural with the Spanish spirit. The Spanish composers were good at creating little character pieces that would depict the name of a city, such as Cadiz, the first piece that I will play for you, or Cordoba or Mallorca were also places. So the first one, Cadiz, it has those guitar effects that I mentioned in the left hand, so try to hear those. And it also has a middle section that's very different from the other two sections. This kind of piece is called ternary. And again, I'm addressing those of you that are not musicians. So I'm sure that many of you know this already. But for those of you that don't, a ternary form is a piece that has a section followed by a completely different contrasting section, which you can tell right away. And then going back to the first section, which at that point will become familiar to you. And you will say, oh, I've heard that before. Yes, because that's the repeat of the first section. So we call that an ABA form, ternary form. In this case, the middle section is slow and it has a longing kind of effect. And that also comes from cante hondo. Cante hondo is the deep song of the gypsies. Gypsies, as you know, were very tragic people that throughout history traveled all over Europe. They never really settled anywhere because they always felt like outcasts from society. So they were always nomads going somewhere else. But they seem to have settled in Andalusia, maybe because there was the sea and there was nowhere to go. So kind of that was the end of Europe. That was the end of Europe, and maybe, I'm only guessing. But Cante Hondo, it's a song that speaks of tragic events, death, unfulfilled love, and all kinds of tragic events. So it's a song that's very deeply felt, and if you've heard flamenco singers sing, they sing with a little tone in their voice that seems to be like shaking. It's like a lament, some kind of lament. So I think some of the Spanish composers have made that as part of their music. So that's something else that you may want to listen for, especially in that slow section in the middle. Okay, so here it is, Cadiz, which is a beautiful city in southern Spain, by the way. I've been there a few times, and I encourage those of you that want to go to Spain to definitely visit Cadiz. Beautiful, beautiful city.